The invitation came not in the mail, but via a flurry of text messages in the family group chat I'm usually silent in. A cascade of emojis, sailboats, palm trees, cocktails, and excited plans. A 7-day Caribbean cruise. My son, Mark, his wife, Jessica, and my 2 grandchildren, Chloe and Liam, were all going. My heart did a little, foolish flutter. An entire week with them? It had been so long since we'd had real, uninterrupted time together. Then I saw it. The message from Jessica, the family's chief organizer. Okay, everyone. The final payment is due tomorrow. Mark, can you handle transferring the funds from the joint account? Remember, it's for all 5 of us. 5. There are only 5 people in their immediate family. I am the 6th. The flutter in my chest turned to a hard, cold stone. I scrolled back up, reading more carefully. The dates they were discussing, the cabin they'd chosen. It was all news to me. I had not been forgotten. I had been deliberately, surgically excluded. I sat in my quiet living room, the only sound the gentle tick of the mantel clock my late husband, Arthur, had loved so much. The room was full of photographs of them. Mark's gap-toothed kindergarten smile. Chloe as a toddler in my arms, Liam building a sandcastle, his small hand in mine. They were ghosts in this house, these people who had once been my whole world. The phone in my hand felt heavy. I typed a simple message. This cruise sounds lovely. Which ship are you taking? The response was not immediate. The flurry of messages stopped. Then, a single text from Mark, my only child. Mom. Sorry. It's a really packed itinerary. Not really your speed. Lots of climbing in and out of tenders. We thought you would be more comfortable at home. We thought you would be more comfortable at home. A polite, modern way of saying, you're old. You're slow. You'll be a burden. I set the phone down. The hurt was a physical ache, a hollowing out of my insides. But then, something else began to stir. A colder, harder feeling. Resentment. I had raised Mark alone after Arthur passed, scrimping and saving to give him every opportunity. I'd paid for his wedding, helped with a down payment on their house, and the joint account Jessica so casually mentioned. It was my account. Years ago, when Mark started his business, I'd added him to my credit card for emergencies. His business had flourished, but we never bothered to remove his name. I paid it off every month, and he'd never abused it. Until now, a notification chimed on my phone. It was an alert from my credit card company. A charge for $11,487.50 from Royal Tide Cruises. They hadn't just left me behind. They had used my money to do it. That was the moment the cold feeling solidified into a plan. It wasn't a plan of hot anger, of screaming phone calls. That was for the young. My anger was patient. It was a deep, subterranean river that had been flowing for years, fed by every slight, every forgotten birthday, every conversation where they talked over me as if I were a piece of furniture. They saw me as a frail, forgetful old woman, a walking ATM. They were about to learn that age had not made me weak. It had made me strategic. I picked up the phone again, but not to text the family. I called the number for the credit card company I knew by heart. I was passed through a few pleasant, automated voices before I reached a live human being. Yes, hello, I said, my voice the picture of gentle confusion. I've just seen a most peculiar charge on my statement. From Royal Tide Cruises. For over $11,000. I certainly didn't book a cruise. The representative, a nice young man named Kyle, was very helpful. I'm so sorry to hear that, ma'am. We can dispute that as a fraudulent charge for you right now. Oh, could you? I said, layering on the relief. That would be such a weight off my mind. And perhaps, could you cancel the card itself? If someone has the number, who knows what else they might try to buy. Absolutely, ma'am. I'll deactivate the card immediately and issue a new one. It should arrive at your registered address in 5 to 7 business days. Thank you so much, dear, I said sweetly. You've been a tremendous help. Phase 1 was complete. The money was recalled. The well was poisoned. But that was just the beginning. A simple cancellation would cause a panic, a flurry of angry calls. I wanted more. I wanted them to feel the same powerlessness they had so casually inflicted on me. I spent the next hour on the phone with Royal Tide Cruises. Navigating their menu was a trial, but patience is a virtue of the old. I finally reached the reservations department. "Hello," I said, my voice shifting, becoming more authoritative, the voice I'd used when I was the head librarian and people didn't return their books. "I need to speak to someone about a booking. The name is Hastings. Mark Hastings." After verifying the booking number I'd gleaned from the credit card statement, I was connected. "I'm calling on behalf of my son," I explained smoothly. "He's asked me to handle some of the onboard amenities. First, I understand you offer beverage packages?" "Yes, ma'am. We have several tiers. I'd like to purchase the premium package for everyone in the party. The top one. Unlimited premium cocktails, fine wines, the works." "Excellent choice. I can add that on for you, and the specialty dining," I continued. "I'd like reservations for every night. At the French restaurant, the steakhouse, the sushi place. All of them. And please prepay the gratuities for the entire staff. I want to make sure everyone is taken care of." The agent was delighted. I could hear the clicking of keys. "Of course. This is going to be an amazing trip for them, I'm sure it will be," I said, a faint smile touching my lips. "Oh, and one more thing. My grandchildren are so excited about the excursions. Please book them on every single one available: the dolphin encounter, the snorkeling with stingrays, the rainforest ziplining, the historical tours. All of them." "Wonderful. I'll add those now. The total for these additions comes to $4,220. Put it on the card you have on file," I said magnanimously. The card that was, at that very moment, being deactivated by Kyle from customer service. I hung up the phone. The stage was set, their departure day arrived. I imagined the scene at the port, the excitement, the chaos, the kids buzzing with anticipation. I sat by my phone. It rang at 10:17 a.m. It was Mark, Mom. His voice was tight with panic and fury. "What the hell is going on? The cruise line is saying our booking is invalid. They're saying the payment was declined. Did you do something with the credit card?" "Oh, dear," I said, my voice a masterclass in innocent concern. "My credit card? There was some fraudulent activity on it, Mark. Someone tried to buy a cruise. Can you imagine? I had to cancel it. The bank said it was the right thing to do. You know how these scammers are." The silence on the other end was profound. I could almost hear the gears grinding in his head, the dawning, horrific realization. You canceled it?" "Mom, we're at the port. We can't get on the ship." "Well," I said mildly, "I'm sure you have your own cards. You can just pay for it yourself." Another silence, thicker this time. I knew they didn't have $11,000 liquid. It was all tied up in his business, in their expensive lifestyle. They relied on my safety net. We can just..." He sputtered. "Mom, this is a disaster. I'm so sorry, dear," I said. "Not sorry at all. It sounds very stressful. I do hope you figure it out." I ended the call. I pictured the scene, the confused children, the furious Jessica, my son red-faced and humiliated at the counter. It was a satisfying picture. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. A text from Jessica. It was no longer polite. "Evelyn, they're saying we have thousands of dollars in add-ons on the booking that we now have to pay for if we want to board. The drink packages, the dining, the excursions." "What did you do?" I didn't reply. Let them simmer. They must have scraped together every last penny from their savings and other cards. They managed to board the ship. I got a terse text from Mark hours later, once they were at sea. "We're on. We'll talk when we get back." But the fun was just beginning. A cruise ship is a cashless society. Your room key is your life. It's linked to your account for everything: drinks, souvenirs, spa treatments. and their account was now a ticking time bomb. I spent the next day in a state of serene contentment. I tended my garden. I reread a favorite novel. I imagined the scene unfolding 1,000 miles away. On day 2, my phone exploded. It was Chloe, my 16-year-old granddaughter. She was crying. "Nana, Mom and Dad are having a huge fight. They won't give us any spending money. They said the onboard account is a mess and we can't buy anything. Everyone is getting virgin pina coladas and I got a stupid soda." Then came a call from Liam, who was 10. "Nana, they won't let me get the video game I wanted from the arcade." Dad yelled at me. The final call was from Mark. He sounded hollow, defeated. "Mom. The cruise line. They're saying the card we used to board is maxed out. They've frozen our onboard accounts. We can't buy a drink. We can't even get a damn coffee. The kids' excursions for tomorrow have been cancelled. Jessica is. She's not speaking to me. They're making us come to the front desk to sort it out. It's a scene. It's a total. It's hell." I could hear the background noise, the cheerful calypso music, the sounds of other people enjoying their perfect vacations, the stark contrast to his own misery. "Oh, Mark," I said, my voice soft. "That does sound awful. It reminds me of how I felt when I saw that invitation. When I realized my own family was going on a trip they had no intention of including me on, when I saw that they'd used my money, the money your father and I worked our whole lives for, to pay for their exclusion of me. That felt like a scene, too. That felt like hell." The silence on his end was different this time. It wasn't angry. It was the silence of shame, cold and deep. You knew," he whispered. "I've always known, Mark," I said, the gentleness leaving my voice, replaced by the steel that had been there all along. "I've known that you see me as an obligation. A convenience. I just decided that this time, I wouldn't be convenient. We're your family." He pleaded, a last, desperate gambit. "Are you?" I asked. "Families don't leave each other off the guest list. And they certainly don't steal from each other. You have a lovely rest of your trip, dear. Try to enjoy the sunshine." "I know I will." I hung up. I felt no triumphant joy. There was no vengeance high. There was only a quiet, solid certainty. The balance had been restored. A week later, a tanned, tired, and grim-faced family returned. Mark came to see me alone. The anger was gone, replaced by a weary resignation. He didn't apologize, not in so many words. But he told me about the trip, the humiliation at the front desk, the fights with Jessica, the disappointed children, the way they'd had to sit on the sidelines and watch everyone else live it up, all while surrounded by the luxury they couldn't touch. "It was the worst week of my life," he admitted, staring at his hands. I just nodded. I had my new credit card in my wallet. My account was my own again. The joint account was closed. They visit now, more out of a nervous, newfound caution than genuine affection. The conversations are stilted. They don't ask me for anything. They look at me differently now. They don't see a sweet, fading old woman anymore. They see the librarian who knows how to find every piece of information. They see the widow who managed her own finances for 2 decades. They see the mother who held a boundary with the force of a tidal wave. They left me off the family cruise. But in doing so, they gave me the one thing I truly wanted, their undivided, and finally respectful, attention.